Hey, what's going on? And welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. Before I get to the news and COVID and sports and entertainment and things of that nature, I love to put a bug in your ear. It's not only just a bug in your ear, it's a bug also for me. I like to reflect. This is a way that I reflect. So today, proper judgments mean that you look at every single angle, if you're going to be honest and fair in your final decisions. That means if you're buying a purchase, a big purchase, a home, if you're breaking up or starting a relationship, if you are literally leaving a job or judging an individual in some shape, form, or fashion, look at every single angle. Do a 360, a 180, 720. It does not make a difference. Don't look at what you just see, go off emotions, and then make a judge. You might come back and it might bite you in the ass. So if you take the time to just look at everything from every angle, sometimes angles don't coincide with what we think they should be, but they might be proper judgment. And that will allow your final decision on anything that you do to be just, fair, and honest. This way, you don't have to be sorry about the decisions you make because you are steadfast in knowing that you did all your due diligence to make sure that this was a wise decision. That's what separates people in this earth. The fools from the people who use some form of wisdom. Wisdom has to be a part of your makeup, it has to be a part of who you are to have any form of success in doing anything. I didn't say you had to be brilliant. You had to be a genius. Just wisdom is just making the smart choice at the right time, the proper decision that causes the least amount of discomfort and also the least amount of falsehood to slip through the cracks. I'm going to take the discomfort part back out because sometimes honesty hurts, man. Being deadly honest with somebody might cut them like a knife. It is a sword. It has been said many times by much more intelligent people, brilliant people. Truth is a sword and it cuts throats, it cuts to the bone, to the marrow. But if we just do like I said, and I try to live this life too. I will never say something to you that I am not saying first to me. I'm always speaking to myself first before I even speak to you. Okay? So the Mets former relief pitcher, Pedro Feliciano, he died at the age of 45. He was a Met pitcher for quite a few years. So to you Met fans out there who knew Mr. Feliciano and he helped your team out, I say rest in peace. Former Mr. Olympia Shawn Rhoden died at the age of 46. Now, this is a tricky one, people, for me, because in October 2018, right after winning the Mr. Olympia contest, he was accused of sexual abuse in the state of Utah, uh, rape, and things of that nature. So this really never came to trial. I'm just informing you that if you didn't know that Mr. Roden passed away at the age of 46, you now do, but it's going to be hard for me to say an RIP to him. Dean Stockwell, best known for his celebrated roles on Quantum Leap and Battlestar Galactica, died at the age of 85. Karanji Calhoun, who played the son of Halle Berry and P. Diddy, Sean Combs, and Munster Ball, died at the young age of 31 years old. I don't know whatever happened to his career after that. He didn't have what you call classical Hollywood looks, and that shouldn't be here or there. If you have talent, you should be given opportunities. I believe that. But he died at the age of 31 years old. And a man from a very popular group, UB40, Terrence Astro Wilson, died at the age of 64. Jerry Douglas, best known for playing John Abbott on The Young and the Restless, a show I'm not familiar with. I did not watch daytime soap operas. He died from a brief illness at the age of 88. New York Giant Hall of Famer Sam Huff died at the age of 87 years old. Sam Huff was one of the first people, especially growing up in New York City, and I got into football. He was one of the first people that I ever heard of who was a legendary, hardcore, take no nonsense football player. And he played his whole career. I believe he played for the Washington Redskins at the time also, but he's mostly known as a Hall of Famer for the New York Giants. And Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Graham Edge from the Moody Blues died at the age of 80. You know the Moody Blues. I'm sure you've rocked out to one or two of their songs, and if you don't know them, look them up. It's worth your time and energy. They're not in the Hall of Fame for no reason. They deserve to be there. So COVID cases are up to 48 million in the United States of America. 783,000 people have died. 438 million people are vaccinated, and we still got a lot of people fighting the vaccination. I'm still confused about it. Some people call them enemies. I'm not going to go that far, but what they're doing is actually bucking the system for no reason. When they go to a hospital and they need surgery, I am guaranteeing you they are not performing the surgery without tetanus shots. And they are not going to then at that point in time say, I'm not willing to get this tetanus shot so that I can get this surgery, which may prolong my life. So I believe that there's a lot of foolishness in this. And I'll get to one of the biggest culprits publicly later on in the show. Worldwide, we got 54 million cases and growing. 5.2 million people have died from COVID. So for those who think that it's some kind of joke or some kind of trickery, we're these 5.2 million people and growing. So household debt has went up to $15 trillion. See, this is a part of making wise decisions and looking at everything from every angle before you just splurge on your credit card and buy things that are above your needs or a home that is way above your price range. We just falling deeper into the rabbit hole. Biden is just giving away money left and right. I literally call him Mr. Moneybags over here because it seems like everybody's getting money except for Doc. He's not giving me shit. I'm not one of those people with 5 kids who could say that I am getting a child relief fund or I took a small business loan out versus COVID. I haven't done anything like that. So we released some international travel restrictions, and it's been almost 2.5 years. So I'm sure a lot of people are coming into America who have not had the opportunity to get into America. And I'm sure for a lot of reasons, they want to come work. They want to see their families. New people in the family have been born. Some people have died and they want to visit graves. There's functions going on. But we have to be very careful of who we let in and how we let them in. And I hope that they're fully vaccinated. They don't have fake documents, that everything that they're doing is above board. So here's more people who didn't use proper judgment, who did not look at everything from every angle before they leaped into the fire. These pro-Trump Capitol rioters are now being sentenced. Their trials are coming up. They thought that they were going to walk. They thought that they were going to have some kind of exoneration. They thought that these judges was going to come down on them lightly because some of them might have been appointed by Trump himself. But one guy in particular, Scott Fairlamb, he got 41 months in prison. He's sitting there. He's crying. He's not the only one who's crying. Other people are crying because they're getting 6 months. They're getting 3 months. They're getting 4 months. You know what? Jail could change your life overnight. It don't take months. It don't take days, and it don't take years. All it takes is a lunatic in a mess hall who looks at you and says, you know what? I want to do you harm. So what you want to do is avoid going to jail, avoid going to prison at all costs. But these people just look, they leave. They said, this looks like a good idea. They didn't look at it from every angle. What about if this happens? What about if that happens? What about if they literally prosecute us for the crimes that we are committing? See, but they didn't think. They didn't think at all. So now they're paying the piper. You know, this Travis Scott thing, is hell, man. I mean, he's being sued now. Drake's being sued. You know, the fact that he could even have it in his heart to be able to go out that evening, and I'm not buying into the fact that he didn't know the travesty that went on in front of him. He's sitting up in that catbird seat. He had to be able to see some lives being lost. He had to be able to see some people were being injured, some people were being crushed. And for Drake to glom on to this type of evil activity makes no sense. So now they're going to probably spend a lot of time fighting all these lawsuits. It's probably going to cost them millions of dollars. And you know what? There's no winners here, man. So I'm not going to say good for anybody and bad for anybody, but you know what? How Travis Scott reacted was wrong. And you know, Drake going to a strip club that night, it shows a lack of empathy. It shows a lack of compassion for humanity to see anything like that, to hear that and not instantly say, you know what, man, I need to shut this down. I need to shut myself down and get myself proper. Another person's not looking at everything from all angles so they can make proper judgments. Your final decisions are going to be held against you. So you must make proper, honest, and fair judgments. And in these cases, they needed to do that. So New York City elects Eric Adams, the 110th mayor of New York City. He's the second black mayor of New York City after David Dinkins. He was a former captain in the police department. He was a jump out boy. He was a member of the 100 Black Police Unit. New York, I hope you know what you're doing, because you now have somebody who might bring back those anti-crime units. Those anti-crime units were basically rolling gangs in New York City who could stop you, who could frisk you, who could throw you on the ground. It didn't make a difference if you had a do-rag or a tie on. I have been harassed wearing backwards baseball hats. I've been harassed wearing suits and ties. I've been harassed coming from law offices where I work. I've been harassed standing on street corners minding my business. But you know what? I understand you need somebody tough on crime, but the fact that Eric Adams seems to be, he is a member of that machine. He's not going to go against that machine. So, good luck with the BML guy screaming that there's going to be blood in the street, because there might be. I cannot sit here and say that some of these young people who didn't grow up in that time, they're not going to want to stand for this. They're armed illegally, naturally, but they are armed and they're not going to take this shit. And these cops are going to be rolling 4, 5, 4 deep in a car, 2 cars sometimes on certain corners. And the thing about it is, they're not going to be hitting certain areas. They're going to be hitting areas that are highly populated with Hispanic, highly populated with African Americans, blacks. And that's what it's going to be. And Eric Adams is going to sit back and he's going to justify everything they do, because it's his nature to do it, because these are one of his own. So this Kyle Rittenhouse trial has begun. And this Judge Bruce Schroeder is an abomination. This man is an abomination. He is blatantly almost letting us know that the outcome is in no jeopardy. He's got Kyle's back. He's doing everything he can to say, you know what, this is what it's going to be, and live with it. And you can kiss my ass, because you know what, I'm Judge Schroeder, and I'm in charge here, and I don't care how I'm perceived. He doesn't care one bit that it seems like the fix is in. Kyle Rittenhouse went up there and performed the worst acting in the history of acting. The crocodile tears was ridiculous. The judge admonishing the prosecutor over and over again. So as we wait for the verdict, which could come down today or tomorrow, and they have already sent out the national troops, over 500 of them. They have boarded up to Kenosha, Wisconsin. And so pretty much he's going to be exonerated. Now, how you exonerate him for at least having a legal weapon in crossing state lines makes no sense because we all know that he did that. He had a weapon. He brought it across state lines. Uh, to find out that he is saying actually that the police department furnished him with a bulletproof vest is insane. This whole thing is bad. I wish the people of Kenosha the best of luck with this, but things can go left real quick there. So I wake up yesterday morning, and I don't know how I found out about this. Maybe I went to Twitter or YouTube or something, but a Sophia Urisa, she's from this group called Bass Against. They were doing a Rage Against the Machine cover song at a Welcome to Rockville festival. She gets into it with this dude in the audience. These two go back and forth. She tells the dude something like, I will piss on you. The dude who looks like he's some kind of biker or something, he agrees to this. Miss Urisa pulls her pants down while performing this Rage Against the Machine song and takes the biggest piss that I ever seen. I didn't even know that women urinated that strongly. But you live and you learn. And she did this in front of, I'm guessing, thousands of people and the millions of people who watch. We've reached a point where celebrities it's just too much. They're put on a pedestal that's too far. This dude seemed like he was laying underneath her, enjoying this. How he goes about his life, how does he go back to his home? How does he go back to his maybe wife and kids and allow this Sophia Urisa to piss on him? He could have had the back and forth. He could have even said, you know what, I'm leaving this venue. I'm done with this show. I can't stand you. But for her to do what she did was not very womanly. I mean, I don't know what she does in her private life. I'm sure that she's blowing up because this was outlandish. This was something I've never seen before, and I hope to never see it again. I mean, you can't imagine a Celine Dion doing this. You can't imagine Adele or Whitney Houston in her prime doing this. But either this is going to break or make Miss Sophia's career. I watched The Harder They Fall. It was a stylistic, very fun to watch movie. Black Westerns are far and few in between. This had star power. This had good acting. This had good action. Sure, they changed everybody's story. Sure, everybody didn't look like the people they portrayed. But this is a movie, people. This is fiction. This is just entertainment. This was a way to get people to look up some of these people's names. Now, were some of them horrible people in real life? Sure, they were. A lot of them were murderers. A lot of them were thieves. A lot of them were bank robbers and stagecoach robbers. But it was a way to get a black Western without coming up with new names. They just used names that was already out there. I highly recommend that you watch The Harder They Fall. It's a good story, a great ending. The ending wrapped up everything that you've seen during the course of the movie. They actually had a beginning, a middle, and an end they wanted to bring you to. Curb Your Enthusiasm to episode 2 and 3 were horrendous. Larry Davis' character is just causing nonsense for nonsense sake. It used to be nonsense that led to somewhere. Now it's just nonsense that means nothing. SWAT finally got rid of this dude that's been trying to get Hondo to quit, and I'm so glad that storyline is over. Family Guy did the Emmy consideration episode, and it was way over the top. McPherson, I guess, wanted to cross some lines because he had the mother constantly ask the son, have you masturbated yet today? Which is outlandish. This is on Sunday, 8:30 at night on Fox, a regular station. And no mother in their right mind, even in the cartoon world, should be ever asking their son, did you masturbate today? As though she was asking, did you take your daily vitamins? The Equalizer was a very good episode. I enjoy that show. Latifah's doing a good job. I'm hoping that the show sticks around for years. Law and Order, both storylines were very good. They wrapped up organized crime the first part of the season. They wrapped that up with the Albanians. Law and Order did us a roundabout about sex trafficking, with this gorilla pimp. It was a very good episode. Impeachment American Crime Story, the very last episode of the series. The series is no longer, they're not bringing it back for another year. I thought this last episode went on way too long. There was really nothing to settle in episode 10. They could have wrapped it up in 9 and left it, but they decided to do that anyway. Now you got these Salvas, the Suns, Phoenix Suns, Robert and Penny Salva. The NBA seems to be just standing on their hands with them. I don't know what they've done. I am not their judge. I am not their jury, and I cannot do anything to harm or hurt them. But if they are in the wrong, they need to be called down on it. They need to be fined. They need to be told that this is not going to go on anymore. But we shall see. It seems like there's one person saying one thing and then another person says another thing. And you know what? Salvas, you can't use the N-word. You already know you can't go to work and make sexual innuendo jokes to employees. It's a form of harassment when you're billionaires and people are thousandaires if they're lucky. The power structure is such that there is no vacuum in which to fall. You would think that anything that you do to them, your job would be in jeopardy. So tonight in the NBA, now I'm going to give you what I consider my games of the week. And that's the only thing I'm going to really do about the NBA. Tonight, you got the Bulls versus the Lakers. The Bulls have been playing fantastic ball. The Lakers beat my Spurs yesterday, so they seem to be bouncing back. The Nuggets are also playing the Mavs. Tuesday, you got the Warriors playing the Nets. Now, you know that's a must-see game, even though the Warriors are coming off a loss. And the Nets did win last night, but the Warriors lost to the Hornets, so I'm sure that they want to right the ship as soon as possible. And the 76ers also play the Jazz. Wednesday, you got the Lakers versus the Bucks. Probably no LeBron again, but you still have AD and Giannis. And the Mavs play the Suns. That should be a good game. Then back-to-back, the Mavs play the Suns again on Thursday. Friday, you got the Celtics, who have been underachieving. They playing the Lakers. The Bulls, who have been overachieving, are playing the Nuggets. Saturday, you got the 76ers versus the Trailblazers. I don't know what's going on with Damian Lillard. I have not seen his name in the box score. I'm not a big fan, so I don't really hunt him down for what he's doing. Sunday, you got the Mavs versus the Clippers. The Knicks versus the Bulls, which should be an outstanding game. And the Nuggets then play the Suns. This last weekend, we had UFC Fight Night. Max Holloway versus Jari Rodriguez. This was an outstanding card. This thing was full of knockouts. A ton of knockouts left and right. I mean, there was some good fights. There was some blood. There was women fighting. It was an outstanding card. So if you didn't get a chance, check out the Holloway versus Rodriguez card. I think you will enjoy it. Next weekend, we got UFC Fight Night 198. Caitlin Vieira is fighting Misha Cupcake Tate. Luma Lukabume is fighting Cheyenne Bias. Joanne Calderwood is fighting Talia Santos, and Michael Chiesa is fighting Sean Bradley. That should be a very good card. So let's get to Mr. I don't want to quarantine. I don't want to do anything proper. Aaron Rodgers, he breaks quarantine. They catch him out going for coffee in San Francisco. He's supposed to be in Green Bay, but nothing happens. It's not even talked about. He got totally fined $14,650 for 8 weeks of violation of the league code policies on COVID-19. $14,650. CeeDee Lamb has been fined in total more than that for wearing socks. Aaron Rodgers yesterday, after winning the game, he refused to wear a mask, even though we have seen Aaron Rodgers in his own car by himself in a mask. But because he wants to buck the system, he refuses to wear a mask, so he does his post-game press conference via Zoom. Now, how does Aaron Rodgers see? This is another man who's not looking at everything from every angle. He's making the bad decision. How do you sit in your own car by yourself and you're masked up? How do you go to a coffee shop, buy coffee, and you're masked up? But when the league who pays you says, please put on a mask to talk to reporters, he doesn't want to be seen in front of the cameras doing an interview with a mask because he's trying to prove some kind of point. I don't know who he's pandering to. I don't know who he's catering to, but it kind of makes no sense. Now we got the Raiders. They had to release this cornerback, David Arnett, this week. He's on social media, and somebody leaked a video of him holding guns and making death threats and using the N-word left and right as though it's like, good morning. So he's doing this. Once again, no judgment. He's not looking at every angle. He's just in his feelings. He's upset. He's angry. Now he's been released. Now, do I think that this is maybe his last time in the league? If he's a good enough player, somebody will give him a chance down the road. But as of today, his name is tarnished. Damon Arnett's name is tarnished. This Raider team seems to have one thing after another, and they really need to get their shit together. Mayock is not a good general manager. They need somebody to look at their personnel and say, you know what, we need to fix some things here to get this right. Football players are going to have a certain edge. That's just how it is. I played football. High school football team was full of lunatics because that's the people who go out to play the sport for the most part. So don't look for a team of quiet boys and expect them to be very good. But there is a limit to what they should be involved in. If they're involved in criminal activity, it makes no sense. So the NFL had a small COVID outbreak. Several teams like the Browns had some people. It was like 3 or 4 teams in the league. So they have to be very careful about that. You know, actually, Ben Roethlisberger was out this Sunday game because he was placed on the COVID-19 list. I don't know if that was from close contact or if he had it himself, but that's what it is. So Cam Newton agreed to terms with the Carolina Panthers. Sam Darnold is injured and probably done with Carolina because he had the first 3 games where he came out the gate and he was very arrogant about it. Like, look at me, everybody, look at me. And he really was much of nothing. So Cam gets a second chance to come home. Most people, they say you can't come home again. Well, Cam Newton came home again. And actually, we'll talk about what he did in that game in a couple of minutes. Odell Beckham Jr., after being released by the Cleveland Browns, signed on with the Rams, and he gets to play his first game with the Rams tonight on Monday Night Football. And actually, Robert Woods towards ACL. He's one of the wide receivers for the Rams, and he's going to be out for the remainder of the season. It actually helps Odell because Odell now just goes directly into his slot. So Cooper Kupp's partner will now be Odell instead of Odell having to be a part of a 3-headed or 4-headed monster with Van Johnson also, or Van Jefferson. So the Dolphins beat the Ravens Thursday night, which was shocking. These last 2 weeks have been some crazy games, but you know what? I expect the Ravens to fully bounce back. You know what? You gotta have pitfalls. You gotta have something to climb over to actually understand and appreciate success. So it happens to the best. The Bills Wally mopped the Jets 45-17. The Jets are a really bad team. This kid Mike White thought he was better than he is, and he's not. He needs to learn to be a little bit humble. The Buccaneers shitted the bed and lost to that Washington football team 29-19. They didn't even look like they were there. There's no pass rush coming from Sue. There's no pass rush coming from JPP. The offense looked disjointed. Washington did just enough to beat them up, take advantage of every opportunity, and beat the Buccaneers. They was coming off a bye week, and they didn't look good doing it. My Cowboys stomped the Falcons 43-3. There's really not much to say there. The Titans beat the Saints 23-21. It was a good game. The Titans like to gut things out. They without Derrick Henry. The Saints are without their starting quarterback. So it was tighter than I thought it would be, but the Titans had won the last two games even without Henry. But we'll see how this goes going forward. The Colts beat the Jaguars in a game that was too close, but this quarterback for the Colts, oh my goodness, and why is his name slipping me right now? He was the quarterback for the Eagles. He is horrible. He is actually a downfall. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz could be the downfall for the Colts. They got a magnificent running back, Mac. They got Leonard, who got a little hobbled in that game, and I wish him the best. But to have the Jaguars actually hang in there made no sense. And the Steelers cannot be feeling good today because, in all likelihood, they should have lost to the Lions. But that field goal kick on the Lions looked horrified. If you see him lining up for that kick to try to win the game, he looked horrified. But the Lions actually pulled off a tie versus the Steelers 16-16. So they worst that they could do is go 0-16-1. And they're going to push that. The Lions are going to literally push not winning a game this year. But the Steelers have to be feeling horrible because they had an opportunity to beat a team, even though they didn't have Ben Roethlisberger. They had the opportunity to beat a horrible team. The Patriots beat up on the Browns 45-7. The Browns are in really bad shape. It's time for Stefanski to start catching some of the heat. All the heat should not be going to Baker Mayfield. It's not only on the quarterback. There are coaches. Coaches get a lot of praise, but they also need to catch a lot of heat when things are constantly going wrong and there's nothing going right with that team. The Vikings shocked me and beat the Chargers 27-20. I thought the Chargers was going to prevail at home, but it didn't happen. Now Cam Newton and the Panthers, 34-10 over the Cardinals, who played without Hopkins, who played without Murray. Cam threw for a touchdown. Cam ran for a touchdown. He declared himself back. I don't know what that means, but good luck to him. But the show was going through McCaffrey, who had a McCaffrey-type game, almost 100 yards receiving, almost 100 yards rushing. The Eagles beat up on the Broncos, who had been tearing up the NFC East. So finally, somebody from the NFC East beats the Broncos, and they beat them 30-13. The Packers, with Aaron Rodgers back at the helm, beat the Seahawks 17-0. Russell Wilson looked bad. Russell Wilson just did not look good at all in this game. The Chiefs stomped the Raiders 41-14. It wasn't even a game. Mahomes threw for 5 touchdown passes. Travis had a good game. Tyreek had a good game. Deshaun Jackson catches a beautiful 38-yarder. His first catch with the team, and he promptly on the same play just fumbles it. There's a lot of things, and I mentioned that earlier, that the Raiders need to fix. And going out and getting this old small receiver, okay, he's a home run hitter, and everybody loves the home run, but I don't think he's the answer to any questions. Tonight, you got the Rams versus the 49ers. I would have to think that the Rams are going to win Monday Night Football game. 49ers stink. Okay, Thursday, we got New England versus Atlanta. I think New England has turned the tide, and they discovered who they are. Mac Jones is playing outstanding, so I expect them to beat Atlanta. The Colts are going up to Buffalo. Buffalo has got to maintain momentum. They have to beat a Carson Wentz team, so Buffalo I'm picking. The Ravens are going into Chicago. I'm taking the Ravens. The Lions are going to play Cleveland. Now, if Baker Mayfield does not play in this game, I am going to put my neck in the noose and literally say the Lions might have a chance to win this game in Cleveland. The Texans are going to Tennessee. The Titans got to win this game. It's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Green Bay is going to play their division rival Minnesota Vikings. Even though Minnesota is not very good, Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay have not been outstanding, so I'm going to go with the Vikings in this game. The Dolphins are playing the Jets. I'm going to go with what's been happening. People coming off the bye have been horrible, so I'm going to pick the Jets to actually beat the Dolphins. And the Saints are going into Philly, and I think Philly will prevail at home. The Panthers are going to play Carolina. Carolina is going to be specially motivated. So is Cam Newton because he'll be playing against his old coach, Ron Rivera. So I'm taking the Panthers. San Francisco versus Jacksonville. This is the horror game of the weekend. I'm going to say that San Francisco is going to eke out a win in Jacksonville. The Bengals, who had the week off, are going to play the Raiders. The Raiders have got to rebound or their season is over, so I think that they're playing for everything, so I'm taking the Raiders. Cowboys are going into KC to play the Chiefs. Now, it sickens me to say this. I think in a big scoring game, and I am talking 38-45, KC is going to win the game. The Cardinals are going to play Seattle. Seattle, Russell Wilson is playing for his season. I don't know if Hopkins and Murray will be returning. If they are not returning, I have to take Seattle at home because they're playing for everything. And then Pittsburgh is going to play the LA Chargers in Los Angeles. I think the Chargers are just a better team than the Steelers. I think the Steelers suck, even though Roethlisberger should be back. And the Giants are going into Tampa to play the Bucks. Now, here's the thing. Tampa is coming off a bad loss. They're not going to lose to two NFC East teams back-to-back. So I would have to, even though I think the Giants are going to give them a good go, I have to pick the Bucks to win this game. Now, the two teams having buys next week are the Broncos and the Rams, okay? Now, before I get out of here, I just want to say it one more time. Proper judging means you look at every single angle if you're going to be honest, if you're going to be fair in your final decisions. It means on the smallest level to the biggest level of decisions that you make in your life. From buying something to leaving something to adding something to your life and to judging another human being. We have to look at every angle because the thing that we see directly in front of us might be shiny and look beautiful, but what about the things that come behind it? They could be rusty, crusty, and have spikes and nails in them, and we really need to take time to do that. And you know what? And I will put that into my lexicon of life and make sure that Doc also does that in all his judgments so that I'm honest, fair, upright, with everybody that I deal with, not just some people, but with everybody I deal with, because the easiest thing to do in life is not remember a lie, but to remember the truth and remember to be honest and forthright. And I'm going to tell you, like I tell you each and every time, people, peace to you and peace to yours.